Welcome to Death and Aliens, an in-depth look at horror and sci-fi TV from two friends who vaguely know what they're doing. I'm MK,
And I'm Courtney.
and other than the fact that we are matching in our complete inability to look like people right now, but we do have matching shirts on. How are you?
You know, I'm well. I do apologize for my sound because I've lost my splitter that connects to my USB. So sorry, guys. Otherwise, I'm fine. I just got back in town. I was in Tulsa for the weekend, so I got to see my aunt. It was the 10th anniversary of the Woody Guthrie Center. So I went and spent the day at the Woody Guthrie Center on Saturday, and went to the Bob Dylan Center, which is why the times they are changing shirt I have. And then saw some great performances on Sunday. Ramblin' Jack Elliott played, who is very old and could be very possibly one of the last shows he does. But it was so like powerful, and I saw all the Guthries perform. Arlo's daughter, and then Anna spoke about the archives, and it was very cool. Like it's a very cool weekend.
Nice.
Yeah, I had a great time. I did have a bit of an issue with my travel. I had a 12-hour travel day on Monday for a 5-hour travel. Um, our flight got delayed by 6 hours from Tulsa to Dallas.
It's
And
insane.
every plane that I was on Friday to Monday, I had to sit on the plane for an extra hour before it left the airport.
On top of it already having been delayed 6 hours.
Yeah. Yeah, we get on and he's like, yeah, we aren't going to leave for at least 40 minutes, 40. And I was like, okay, so why am I on the plane that I've already waited 6 hours for? Like, so of
No,
course,
absolutely not.
they booked us on a flight that we had 5 minutes to get to on the other port. Like, I don't know if any of you've flown through Dallas Airport, but it's like multiple like sections. You have to take the Skylink everywhere. God, it was miserable. It was so traveling was an adventure, but otherwise the like weekend itself was well worth it. And I'd probably do a 12-hour travel day if necessary to do that weekend again. Like it was really.
Nice.
How are you?
I am so tired. Like I still haven't really recovered. I worked, like I said on the podcast last week, I worked every single day last week. Um, and they were not short shifts either because if I was working six all week, it would have been fine because six is a short show. But I wasn't. I was working opening weekend for Kinky Boots.
Was it your first time seeing Kinky Boots?
No, 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 no. It's my friend Lorenzo who used to work with us at Shays who moved to Chicago came back just to play Lola, and it's like a local
Oh,
production, but it's like professional local. And but so I was working opening weekend for Kinky Boots, like, and I don't know if you know, but compared to six, that might as well be a Homeric epic.
you know, Kinky Boots was the second show I saw on Broadway, and I saw it for my birthday.
Yeah, it's long as shit.
Mm-hmm.
And Wednesday night was a preview, which meant it was technically still a rehearsal, so they still had notes afterward.
How long is
So I
it?
had
Was it 2 hours?
longer. It's an hour 17 for the first half, a 20-minute intermission, and 54 for the second.
Yeah, it's been like 5 years since I've seen it.
So
So
it's like two and a half, plus I have to be there an hour and a half before the show starts to get the theater ready. And then I have to be the last one in the building because it's at the small theater where there's nobody else that I can leave the building to. It's just me. Um, so like Saturday morning, I was initially going to wake up for the coronation, but instead I watched it at 11 after it had finished streaming.
I
Because,
wondered if why you weren't up earlier than when you texted me about it.
yeah, because I was fucking tired.
No, totally get that. Totally fair. I didn't watch it. I was working. So
It was beautiful, really. Um, the King of Thailand was there. and his
Oh,
wife
that's
had
fun.
the most beautiful dress. And I was like freaking out, and Dan was like, "Get it together." Just kidding. He didn't say that. He absolutely
I was
tolerates
like,
my
he's absolutely not saying that.
no, never would he would tolerate my insanity to the ends of the earth for no reason. I do not understand it.
Absolutely.
But but yeah, so other than tired, I'm good. Nothing crazy to discuss. But it would help my tired soul to have just a little inspiration as
Well,
you try to finish eating your food.
look, I'm starving. I have not eaten a lot in the past few days due to traveling and sleepiness from traveling.
Yeah, right.
So I do apologize if you're watching this. I'm a disaster. But I do have some nice inspiration for you. I picked out a quote while I was at the center. Um, I don't think this was it, but I can't seem to
Mm.
find the one I was looking for. So this is the one we're going to have. It says, the note of hope is the only note that can help us or save us from falling to the bottom of the heap of evolution, because largely about all a human being is anyway is just a hoping machine. What do you got, three?
Love it. I love it. Um,
I love what he got three.
you know what else I love?
Is it Stargate?
It is Stargate. And I also would like to say that last week, my mini teaser spoiler before the episode was that we
What
would be seeing what?
was it?
Well, that's what I'm about to tell you.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were
My mini
explaining.
teaser. No, my mini teaser that I said for this episode was to get people excited was that we would be seeing someone return.
Right.
And your prediction guess was that it would be the Knox.
Oh, don't worry. I made a note about this.
But not only, but the thing was, I made it as vague
Not
as
who you meant.
possible. I made it as vague as possible because we got a whole lot of people coming back.
So many.
So many. Um, so that is very exciting. Um, we are talking. I just threw my pen at myself.
I noticed. I didn't know what just happened.
Oh my God. Okay. We are talking about Stargate SG-1, Season 3, Episode 15, Pretense. It was rated 8.1 stars, and it aired on January 21st, 2000.
We are
Because
in the millennium.
we are in the new millennium. It is not the 1900s anymore.
Yeah, survival.
Um,
Okay.
um, sorry. The number one movie was Next Friday.
Is that the sequel to Friday?
It is, in fact, the sequel to Friday,
Awesome.
starring Ice Cube. Um,
I haven't seen it,
yeah.
but I'm familiar with its existence.
Yes, exactly. The number one song, which just makes me feel
A
so
thousand years.
old, is What a Girl Wants by Christina Aguilera.
Um, I was just thinking about the movie the other day, What a Girl Wants with Amanda Bynes in it.
Yes, love
So
that
good.
movie.
So good. Also,
Honestly,
this
early
time.
2000s Amanda Bynes movies, so good.
So good.
The number one book was Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets.
Okay, we've gone back.
We have a don't worry, last year we had the first Harry Potter and the third Harry Potter. We cycled back to the second Harry Potter. I also found something out when I was looking at this, and I realized that we were discussing the timeline of the Harry Potter books coming out and it not making sense that they were on the bestseller list based on the theory of the British publication. When they first came out, they were not published at the same time.
Oh, they were. Mm-mm.
So the second book only came out in the United States in June of 99. So the first, second, and third were all coming out in the US
That
in 99. Mm-hmm.
makes sense.
Yeah. So that changes how my thoughts about the weird obsession with Harry Potter for those that year that we're looking at. And then so then this is 99 2000 and then the first movie comes out in 2001. So it does make sense,
Does make
but
sense. Yeah.
I was looking at the publication dates based on the UK publication and being like, why?
That's
It
what I was
it
thinking about. Like, I knew that they came out at a different time than the UK publication, but it sure did not make that add up when we were talking about it.
no. Well, and because then starting in what the fourth or fifth, they didn't anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. They switched
So
to the same time.
yeah, so it was very confusing. Um, I could not find a lot of things that happened on that day, but weirdly, it was the same day as a total lunar eclipse, and there were two of them in the year 2000. So like all those people who were sure the world was ending, like I understand now why like the moon calendar was like, no, but really.
Might actually be ending. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, weird. This episode was directed by David Wary Smith, written by Catherine Powers, and edited by Rick Martin. So nothing new to talk about there. But the guest star is someone who it is not their first episode, but they have not had a chance to be talked about yet because they were always in episodes with people that were more important.
Okay.
And that is Frida Bertrani, who plays Laia the Nox.
Okay. So yes, that's a good choice. Have we talked about the guy who plays the other guy?
Narum?
Mm-hmm.
No.
He seems really familiar to me.
Yes, because last episode that he was in, we also didn't talk about him because the other guy was more important in that episode. And then we had the same conversation in the last episode and we figured out what he was in. But now I don't remember.
Okay, I was gonna say, can you remind the class? But you don't remember, so it's
I
fine.
surely do not. It wouldn't be that hard for me to find, but I do not know. I know that we had the same conversation the last time I chose not to speak about him. But I did want to talk about Frida this time just because this is Laia's last episode.
Oh, okay.
That doesn't mean it's the Knox's last appearance, it's just Laia's
I
last
know.
appearance. Um, so but of course, there's not really a lot to say. She was known for Last Wedding, Stargate, and Prozac Nation.
Is that a
She,
for
what?
Pro- is that a commercial for Prozac?
No, I think it's a documentary or like a true crime type-esque film.
Okay.
Um, she has not been in anything since 2015,
Good for her. She's
but
got some last.
she's married to another actor who is still actively working. So she's not like dead or like, you know what I mean? Like, or like completely separated herself from the industry in the sense that she like ran away and lived in a cabin in the middle of Montana or something. Like she's just not acting anymore. But they had a kid, so she might have just been like, I'd rather be a mom. Sorry.
It happens.
Yeah. I couldn't really find that out, but I did see that like her husband's most recent credit was something that was listed as upcoming, and her most recent credit was listed as 2015. And I was like,
Yeah, that tracks. Those are very different things.
yeah. Although the fact that 2015 is a very different thing than now is a different kind of
It's
scary.
8 years ago. Ugh.
Yeah. I said something about being a sophomore in high school in the year 2008, and my eighth graders were like, "You were in high school when I was born?"
Oh no, no,
And I
this
was
is why I
like,
can't be a teacher.
"Oh,
I can't have these conversations with children.
mm,
I feel that
no,
way too much already with the kids that work with me at the office. They're 25, 26.
no, it's
Okay. So you just stole a napkin, and I was trying to take it from her.
No, you're fine. Yeah, no, one of my friends at work is only, or a couple of my friends at work are like 22, 23, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I graduated grad school before you graduated high school.
Oh God, I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to talk about it. Yeah.
So yeah. But this episode, we start with a gold spaceship battle. That was very strange.
Very Galactica of them.
Yeah. But it resulted in a crash landing, and some people run to the ship, and in it is Skara, who is very hurt.
I can't
And
ever remember his name. I just keep calling him the kid from Chulak. I understand he has a name.
he's not even from Chulak, he's from Abydos.
Oh, he's from Abydos. Oh God. Well, I call him the kid from Chulak anyways.
Oh, okay. Well, yes, but then that's where the credits are.
It was very fast.
Very fast.
Yeah.
Especially when you consider that they didn't have credits when they aired it for real, like not a full credit sequence.
Yeah, I literally put, oh my God, it's the kid from Chulak. Is this a new intro? That was my like first two notes.
Yeah. I didn't pay attention to the pictures in the intro, but they do change them fairly regularly. But again, the first two seasons, they didn't really change it because they didn't have it in the first place. So then after the credits, we get a scene where there's an incoming gate activation, but it doesn't make any sense because all units are earthbound and there's no actual activation codes and like they can't figure out what's happening at all. And the iris looks like weird and wobbly and they're all kinds of confused until a cat just walks right through the iris.
Because what else would come through?
And for those of you who also forget vastly unimportant details of the show, that cat has been on the show before, but
Yeah, totally didn't remember that.
no. To be fair, I remember most everything about the show, and I didn't remember the cat. So,
It's so subtle.
yeah. Um, Sam, of course, does though.
Oh, she's
And
the smartest person in the room.
right, and she yells at everyone to hold fire because the cat is Schrodinger, who is the cat she gave to the Tolan. And
Which
if
genius.
yeah,
Schrodinger's cat. Like, I mean,
yeah, for sure, that was why. But if you don't remember the Tolan, they were the ones who had the ability to phase through solid matter. So,
I could not for the life of me remember where Tolan came from. I was like, are these the people from the light? Like, I
no.
really could not remember where they belonged.
No, they're the people from, I think, season 2 who came and were all staying on the base because their planet was destroyed. And then they kept like phasing through the walls and the security camera couldn't figure out what was happening. And obviously, Naren was like in love with Sam.
Yes, that was like such a passing episode for me that like
Yeah,
I do
exactly.
vaguely remember you tell like by you telling me I vaguely remember it, but I still don't like fully remember it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So Narim does arrive also and is like, I'm so sorry. I didn't know how else to do this. I don't know what the protocols are, but I sent Schrodinger so you would know that like it wasn't an
That's very
enemy. It
that's
was
very
very sweet. But then he gives his real reason for being there, and it is to request that SG-1 come with him to help with a trial that is taking place. They call it a triad, but it's a trial. The triad part of it has to do with the fact that there's three parties. But because Skara is on trial and is requesting their presence.
talked about triads before. I have a lot of questions where I'm like, did we talk
No,
about this?
we have never talked about this. That's why they spent so much time explaining it because they were also hella confused.
This must have been like a traditional mythological like triad as a thing. It's like
Yeah.
mythology they do triads or something? Because I've definitely heard it.
Um,
And
I've heard the word before, but I don't know if I've heard it in the sense of a
a
um
trial,
yeah.
I feel like I
Um
have it. I can't picture where or why.
no, so a triad is a group or set of three connected people or things.
Right.
Like that's the definition of the word. There's also a secret society in China that is part or an organized crime society. Um
Interesting.
so probably not that.
No, no, I
Um
haven't heard that one yet.
oh, that makes sense. The triad, oh wow, this is insane.
Oh, I'm excited.
I'm like reading the the Hong Kong triad is a distinct from the mainland Chinese criminal organizations. It's like a whole thing. There's like pictures of a bunch of people being arrested in Thailand from it. Their activities included extortion, protection, murder, assault, racketeering, contract killing, human trafficking, sex trafficking, prostitution, illegal gambling, loan sharking, counterfeiting, copyright infringement, kidnapping, robbery, Hong Kong film and music industry, drug trafficking, police, political corruption, money laundering, arms trafficking, healthcare fraud, online fraud, and immigration fraud.
That's wild. Maybe I have heard of that before.
Their territory was China, Hong Kong, Macau, Taiwan, other parts of Southeast Asia, including Myanmar, Laos, Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, and the Philippines, Japan, South Korea, the United States of America and Canada, Brazil and Argentina, Australia, New Zealand, the United Kingdom, France, Netherlands, Belgium, Spain, Italy, South Africa, and Russia.
Basically, a piece of every country. Not
Yeah,
all, not all of
they're
all.
still active.
Maybe that's what I've heard of. Because I thought I'd heard of it like in the trial sense, but it's obviously not illegal.
Yeah.
And if it's not been on Stargate, then I didn't hear it on Stargate. But wild. Wow. So don't talk too much about that then, so we don't get
Yeah. I would like to not be murdered by
it's Thai listeners, so
by
we don't.
a Chinese organized crime
Mm,
syndicate. That
sounds terrifying.
does sound terrifying. Wow, that is so far beyond what I meant to be talking about today. But here we are.
Oh, look, things that are meant to be happen, no matter what you want.
If I start getting weird, like red envelopes in the mail with Chinese characters on them, I will I don't where could I hide? They're everywhere.
Like the red envelopes are for like Chinese New Year, right? Do they do that for all envelopes?
No, it is mostly Chinese New Year. It just feels like a really like
Wasn't usually. They're like money.
they usually have gifts, but that feels like something that a crime syndicate would do, would like give you a gift envelope, but it's really like a horrible thing.
Yeah. Maybe they make them like blue.
But then they
Maybe
wouldn't have that wouldn't be
it's red.
yeah.
Maybe they'd be white with like red, like
Mm.
what's it called?
Characters. The wax. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
the white.
white with a red wax stamp feels too medieval Europe.
Look, they're killing people. They're very much stuck in like the oh my gosh, why can't I know any word that I'm trying to say? The like revolution where everyone dies.
What? In what country?
I think it was in England. That it's not the Industrial Revolution, it's the one Spanish Inquisition. It was Spanish.
I was like, we're talking about China right now, and so the revolution where everyone dies is not specific.
Yeah, I was not talking about China anymore, but maybe they like took it on.
Got it.
Yeah.
Great.
We're sorry, China. Please don't come after us.
I actually asked Dan yesterday, I go, my Chinese visa doesn't expire for 6 more years. You want to go to China? He said, why do you want to go to China? I was like, no, I just paid a lot of money for the visa.
I can imagine. You should go to China. You should go to
Yeah.
Hong Kong Disney again.
Yeah, but I don't need the visa for Hong Kong Disney. I do need it for Shanghai Disney, though.
You don't need it for Hong Kong?
Nope.
Why?
Because Hong Kong has its own government.
For
It's a
them.
it's very complicated.
Good for them. I love our Asian education we're learning today.
Yeah. Um,
Governments and territorial systems.
I can't. I'm so we're off the rails. I don't. Anyway, what are we talking about?
We're talking about them going to the
Oh,
shrine.
yeah, right. Um, so the place where they Skara crash landed was Tolana, and because the Nox were able to get the Tolan to a planet without a gate, and then the Tolan built their own new gate because apparently that's a thing they can do.
Yeah, sure, they can do whatever they want.
Um, and so on Tolana, the team walks through this weird mist that disables their weapons. Um, Jack does not care for that very much.
I get it, but also like, should they have seen that coming?
Right.
This is the first
Um,
time they walk through
yeah.
something.
And Naram promises that no harm will come to them. So they head inside the main like trial room, and the High Chancellor, who does have a name, but unfortunately I missed it quite literally every time they said it for the entire episode. So she's just the High Chancellor in all of my notes.
Yeah,
Um, I could look it up on IMDb, but that is a thought I just had right this second. So
sure. Look, she should go by her title anyways. It's a
yeah.
high title.
Yeah. So the High Chancellor explains that they will need that the trial needs a seeker and an arcan, which is basically like the witness and the jury members, basically. So Skara is the seeker, he's the one on trial, and he will have to choose someone to defend him. So they walk in to see Skara, and Chlorel immediately starts yelling at them,
Laurel.
but then stops because the Tolan have made this device that stops the Goa'uld from silencing their host.
Very cool. And I feel like we should have had this technology before today.
The Tolan's technology are things that we should have had before today, but we don't have, and they won't share because they know we're stupid.
I mean, like cool, but also rude.
Right, exactly. Um, so they ask Skara who he wants to be his Archon, and he chooses both Daniel and Jack because Jack is strong and Daniel is wise. Yeah, correct. The only thing better would have been choosing Teal'c, but also then Teal'c couldn't have done the things we needed Teal'c to do in this episode, so it's fine.
Or
Then we get to the fun part where they ask what a triad even is, because up to this point we don't know.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I literally put my notes. I was like, okay, so this triad thing is like an important thing to know, I guess. Yeah.
um, and they find out that the Tolan destroyed two Goa'uld motherships, which is like hella impressive. And the trial is actually about whether or not they can free Skara of Chlorel. Literally, the possession of the body is what is on trial.
Like 2 days after we killed Share. It's fine. It's fine. I won't bring it up.
We didn't have a choice. It was a very different situation.
But like we've been trying all these years to get Share
Yeah.
separated from the body, and then 2 days after she dies, we find out how to do it.
Um, I mean, to be fair, we could have done it the whole time because we had the Tok'ra who could have done it. But we needed Shari to not be actively trying to kill Daniel. That was the biggest problem there.
But whatever. Yeah.
Um, so then they invite Lord Zapakna as Chlorel's Archon. And the neutral Archon, someone who is uninterested in either party, is Laya, the
That's
Nox. So Then Jack is sure that Laya will vote their way. And he's like, it's fine. She's our friend. It'll be great. And Teal'c and Daniel are like, I don't know about that. Do you not remember when she specifically saved Apophis from you killing him and caused us how many more issues?
Yeah.
But the proceed. What were you gonna say?
It's fair that they question that.
Right. The proceedings begin, and Zapakna starts off by saying that the people of Abydos were already property, so Chlorel just took what was his.
Rude.
Right. And then Skara takes his turn to speak, and he's like, Chlorel didn't just like steal my body, he stole my life. Like, I could have had this and this and this, and like, I had to actively try to kill my brother-in-law, and like, then we get a quick flash to Sam and Teal'c, who are like awkwardly like stealth sneaking around to follow the serpent guards and not being very stealthy at all, but somehow not getting caught. It's fine. Um, my next note says Zapakna makes the age-old vegetarian versus cannibal claim. Um, which is the idea that who are you to decide that animals don't have the same sentience as humans? Therefore, are you any better by subjugating them than we are by subjugating you?
Sure. Yeah.
So the high
Maybe
chance, what's that?
that many vegans would agree.
Many vegans would agree. But the High Chancellor lets Jack and Daniel respond. And they're like, well, here is the big difference. The Goa'uld is not an intelligent creature. The Goa'uld is a parasite that has stolen all of its information from other intelligent creatures and has nothing on its own.
Because Daniel Jackson's a genius.
Correct. And so that means they would not actually be superior to humans. So Jack asks Skara to appeal emotionally and was like, you once told me that you, I'm so sorry, would rather be dead than live as Goa'uld. Why? So Skara talks about his all the things that he's seen and all the awful things that he's had to like be a part of. And Zapakna is like, well, there's nothing left of the host. So he can't have witnessed anything. Then we get a quick jot over to Sam and Teal'c, who see Zapakna's men putting what looks like a bomb on the wall of one of the buildings. And so that's good news.
Sure.
And we go over back to the trial, and Daniel is arguing that Skara is proof that like part of the host remains because he's having this whole conversation. And Laya agrees with him. She's like, yeah, like not only is the host remaining, it seems like pretty eloquent there. Like that's I don't know. Um, so then they adjourn for the day, and Sam and Teal'c report that they think Zapakna is using the triad to stall for time so that they can disable all the Tolan defenses and kill everyone, which is like a very Goa'uld thing to do.
It is.
And so then Narim comes to see Sam, and he's like, I've missed you so much. And she's like, a lot has changed.
Like, hold up, bro. Like,
And he's like, oh, you fell in love with someone else. She's like, not really. What happened was the other mind inside my mind fell in love with someone else, and now I don't even know who I am. So, like, I can't love anyone until I know which brain is thinking right now.
I do kind of love Martouf. So, like, sure.
Right. Yeah. And Jack, but like we don't talk about that.
No, we don't talk about that.
And so he's like, okay, so if you didn't miss me, like, why did you actually call me out here? And she tells him all about the Goa'uld. And they check the cannons, and there's no evidence of tampering. And the High Chancellor kind of goes off and she's like, you guys are trying to interfere with the triad. And if you keep messing with it, I'm going to have to like boot you and find somebody else to argue Scar's case. So Jack tells the team that they unfortunately like have to actually like leave the Goa'uld alone because they have to save Skara. And Teal'c is like, oh, I'm so sorry. Teal'c is like, I get that Skara is important, but also this is the entire race of the Tolan we're talking about. I don't think I agree with you.
Just like fair.
Right. And the they come in to tell Jack that the triad has resumed, and he's like, okay, well, I'm gone. You have to stand down. Like, I for real mean it. So Teal'c goes to see Laya, obviously, instead of standing down because it's Teal'c. He always knows what is the correct thing to do. And she said it's not appropriate for him to be there and try to convince her, like, for the case. And he's like, I'm for sure not here for that. I'm not even a little bit worried about if you give Scar his body or not. What I am worried about is the fact that like they're gonna kill us all.
Right.
And he was like, and you're the only one who can stop it. She was like, me? I can't do anything but illusion. He goes, I know.
That's the one.
Teal'c's cooking up something. Um, Back at the trial, though, Zapakna has asked them to reconvene because he has a compelling closing argument.
Ugh.
And his compelling closing argument is, in fact, compelling. It's problematic. But he's like, is this, well, yeah. He's like, is this triad supposed to be sentencing anyone to death? And the High Chancellor is like, no, that's not what we do. And he's like, great. Well, if you give priority to Skara, you're killing Chlorel. So then you would be. So then I win.
Well, vice versa, my dude.
And that's what Jack says. He's like the same thing. And they're like, actually, no, you just proved that the host is still in there. So haha, your argument is null and void.
If I was an attorney in this triad, I would just walk up and be like, excuse me, vice versa. I rest.
Yeah, but he is not incorrect that they already nullified that point.
Yeah.
So it's aggravating that he's actually correct.
He is, but like also Skara is basically dead. Like,
well, yes, but we didn't get to that part of the argument yet. Jack and Daniel eventually worked their way up to that, but at this
but I'm
point,
saying,
it's
like that would be my argument as the attorney.
right.
Would immediately come back with that and be like, great.
Yeah, but you can't just say vice versa because
and then you say I rest my case. That's it. Vice versa, I rest my case.
But you didn't rest your case because you have to talk about theoretical death versus literal death.
That's for the jury to decide.
You are the jury.
And I've decided. I don't know why this isn't going my way.
In no world did you win that case.
In my
I'm
world.
so sorry.
In my world, I could win that case.
Okay. Well, Jack says that they could take Chlorel out and put it in another host and it would still be alive. And so it's just a matter of saving Scar's body. And if they go with the choker philosophy, they could find someone who's willing to be the host. And but as they're describing this, Narim busts into the triad, and the High Chancellor is like, excuse me, this is not how we conduct business. He's like, yeah, but that Goa'uld mothership flying over us, also not how we conduct business.
Right.
Right. And clearly Zapakna is trying to get out of there because he's like, oh yeah, no, they're just here to pick me up because we're going to a world without a gate, but the trial's over anyway, so bye.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, the trial is not over until I say it is over, sir. And then she's like, humans, do you have anything else to say? And they're like, no, we're pretty settled. And she was like, Knox, do you have anything else to say? And Lia's like, no, pretty settled. So then they go to vote. And Jack and Daniel obviously vote in favor of Skara, and Zapagna obviously votes in favor of Chlorel. And then Lia gives this beautiful speech about how she is not going to be responsible for anybody's death, but she is going to vote in favor of Skara because what they are doing to him is not life.
Right.
Um, so the High Counselor says that they'll call the Tok'ra to remove Chlorel, and she locks the device so that only Skara can speak, so that Chlorel does not have a voice in Skara's body anymore. And she dismisses Zapagna, who immediately grabs an orb from under the desk and tries to attack them all.
Immediately, yeah.
Teal'c and Jack attack him and subdue him, and it's some pretty intense fighting. And then the team runs outside with Naram, but Teal'c is missing, and the Goa'uld lock onto all of the cannons at the same time and attack everything, and it is looking not so hot for our team. But then we find Teal'c and Lia, who show the rest of the team that they just actually like hit one of the cannons. Haha.
Haha.
Which should then just directly shoot at the mothership, but it doesn't. So then once again, you're like, oh shit, what now?
Nothing can work out right in this episode.
No. But then Teal'c just does it manually and kills the Goa'uld mothership. And so the High Chancellor thanks them, and Jack's like, so if you're in our debt, that means you'll give us some technology. And she's like, no, so sorry, not gonna work. Nice job though. And then the Tok'ra complete their procedure, and they take Chlorel's little nasty Goa'uld body to a Goa'uld homeworld and drop it off, and Skara is reunited with the SG team as himself, and it is all a wonderful, beautiful, happy ending.
It's happy ending. Love it.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Do you have any questions or comments before we move on to who we're gonna punch?
I don't know. I feel like I have so many. I had so many thoughts during this episode because I was like, I feel like I should have remembered more of the things happening and then just didn't. But like, I didn't remember the guy at all. What was it? Sam? What's his name?
Who?
The guy,
Zapagna?
Zapagna.
No, yeah, you didn't remember him because this is his first appearance.
Oh, he's the one I thought that I recognized.
Oh, the actor you probably recognize, and we will talk about him later. No, we will, but this is his first. I thought you were talking about Naram.
No.
The Tolan guy.
Naram. Yeah.
Oh, no. Yes.
I don't know him, but I remembered him. The Zapagna, I know him from somewhere, and I can't figure out why.
I'm sure you do. We will talk about that at a later date, because this is his first appearance, but obviously he escaped through the Stargate, so it is not his last. Yeah, I can tell you right now what you recognize him from, though.
Please do.
Lock and Key.
Which guy does he play?
Fred.
I bet he's the guy from the well. Have you watched Lock and Key yet?
Nope.
He's the guy from the, or is he the uncle?
I don't know. I know his name. I know the character's name. That's all I got.
I don't remember.
But yeah, no, we'll talk about him later because Zapagna is not a dead character. He will definitely come back.
Yeah, I think you answered most of my questions. I had questions about the triad in general, but you addressed that. And then the Tolan, which you addressed. So yeah, I pointed out that I did indeed call that the Nox would come back this episode. So it's very
did.
One for one, or one for like 20 that I've gotten wrong, but doesn't matter. Yeah, I think that's kind of it. I don't really know what to think next, because this was kind of while it had recurring characters, it's still kind of a one-off episode. So like we're not
yeah, I think yes and no. I think that on the one hand it was, but introducing Zapakna and saving Skara are much more bigger implication for the future.
Well, yeah, they're gonna come up in the future, but I don't feel like it's a back-to-back episode. Like it's not one that's like a cliffhanger that I'm like, oh, what's gonna happen next? Like I feel like, oh, we'll come back to Scar in like 7 episodes later.
Yeah. That's fair. That's totally fair.
So I don't know what to like think about for like the next episode.
Well, I will tell you in my mini teaser that the next episode has nothing to do with what we've talked about so far.
Well, I'm shocked.
But you will love it
I love that.
because of who the guest star is.
Someone I know that we haven't seen before.
Yes.
Oh, I'm so stoked.
But while you marinate on that, who would you like to punch?
Sapakna.
Obviously.
He plays the old like army guy that comes in from the well. So it was I was right. It was one of the two that I said it could have been.
Correct.
But yeah, Zapakna. I mean, he's just kind of a dick. He like is mean to everyone and has no consistency. He just wants to kill everyone.
Yeah, that's legitimate. I'm going to punch the High Chancellor in the face because while genuinely having like the most fair trial ever and being a good person, she is so worried about the fairness of the trial that she thinks that they are not warning her about the safety for people in a legitimate way. And then because of that, almost loses all of her people. So like that's just like a little short-sighted.
Is the High Chancellor a Tolan as well?
Yes.
Okay. I really worked hard to put these pieces together and still didn't.
Everyone in the episode was Tolan except for the Goa'uld human and the one Nox, like the people who were there for the triad.
That's what I thought. I just
Yeah.
like again did not trust my brain while I was watching it.
And that's fair. Who is your MVP?
Who is my MVP?
There's honestly a handful of good options this week.
I guess what's her name? Layden?
Laya.
Laya. Just add some extra syllables. I didn't remember anyone's name from this episode aside from our main cast. So, yeah, I think Laya is the one because really in the end she's the one that saved Scar's life.
For sure. I agree. She saved Sarah's life and she saved Tolan, let's be real. Laya probably would have been my first choice. But my second choice will be Teal'c because he said, fuck your orders. This is what we need to do.
I mean, he tackled Sapakna in the end when he tried to get the ball to like.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have like thought about like Daniel because like he really jumped in at Jack at the last minute, and then like Sam was really smart about things, but there were some really good like characters.
Yeah.
Sure.
I have only one piece of trivia, and we've already talked about it, and it's just that it is Kevin Durant who plays Zapakna's first episode of the franchise. It also aired 7 days after his 26th birthday, so he was a fucking baby.
That's why he looks so old because this came out 2000. So it's been 23 years because I think he was in only the last season of Lock and Key.
Yeah, so he's 49 now.
Yeah, but he looks rough. Granted, he's meant to be dead. So, like, of course
yeah. I mean, I don't think in real life he looks that rough.
No, probably not.
Based on other things he's been in.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know though. Actually, he's done a lot of voice work recently.
Yeah, and like, no, he doesn't look as rough as he does in the show. I mean, I've definitely seen him in other stuff lately, but that is the most recent thing I've seen him in for sure.
Yeah. Oh.
He was in Real Steel, our movie of the week, a few weeks back.
Uh, he was in Lost, and now I'm gonna have to deep dive on who his character was because I don't recognize the name. So,
Mhm.
oh, he was in one episode of Dead Like Me.
Oh, which one?
That's what I'm finding out right now. It was Sunday mornings.
Was that where they went to the diner?
Um, this is where she finds out that her dad is kind of not great.
Because her dad took
Yeah,
her to the diner in the flashback, and then
yeah,
she saw him like with the high school, with the college student or high school student or whatever it was.
yeah. Um,
Wow, I am impressed that I connected those dots.
yeah, he plays someone named Chuck, and I don't know who that is though.
Probably just like a random student or something, or like a random like one-off guy she passes in the diner.
Yeah. Um, yeah. I mean, he's the highest rated, like the highest listed person outside of the main cast, but that doesn't really mean anything because um he's more famous now. So yeah, but that is our episode. I'm so sorry that it went off the rails for a hot second there. Um,
I mean, they're the ones who called it a triad, so that's
that's
really
true. I
ours.
mean, but actually, to be honest, if you listen to this podcast, I can't imagine that we've ever not gone off the rails.
Yeah, this feels like a very slight off the rails comparatively.
It went dark fast, but it was a shorter foray into nothingness.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
if you don't work for the triad and you would like to reach out to us, you can send us an
A
email
great
at
clarification.
yeah, at deafandaliens@gmail.com. And you can follow us on all the social media at Deaf and Aliens. You can follow me everywhere at EMKAY_superstar.
You can follow me at CE Cloud 13.
And we will see you all for a very, very interesting episode of Thriller Thursday.
Two.
Bye.
Bye.